Hello everyone and happy holidays from the Health Promotion Disease Prevention team. Today we'll be sharing some ideas on how to add a healthy spin to your favorite baked dessert recipes, because desserts can be an enjoyable part of a healthy, balanced eating pattern. So we have a few tips to share with you today. One thing we really want to focus on is how can we add nutrients to what we're making. So a few ideas here to really add in those nutrients. We want to focus on what can we do with fruits and vegetables. So you may want to try using mashed bananas or pumpkin puree, even applesauce in your favorite cookie or brownie recipe. We grated some carrots here using a box grater. So this is a great opportunity to sneak in some vegetables as well, especially for those picky eaters. So you can grate some carrots, or you could try zucchini as well and add that to your favorite dessert recipe. Again, we're adding in those nutrient-rich ingredients here. Our next tip we have for you is to add in whole wheat flour when you can, instead of using all-purpose white flour. So with whole wheat flour, the entire kernel of the grain is included, so it's not as refined or processed. And because of that, it adds more fiber into our dessert, which is really great for our hearts and overall health. When shopping for whole wheat flour, you can look for 100% whole wheat on the food product. You can also look for the whole grain emblem on the product as well, and that will tell you that this is a whole grain, whole wheat product. Our next tip for you is to purchase low fat or fat-free dairy products to add into your favorite dessert recipes. So when shopping for milk, you can look for the pink carton or pink gallon. That's typically the skim 1% low-fat milk. You can also add in Greek yogurt as well. So today we have plain non-fat yogurt, and this is going to cut down on the saturated fat by purchasing the low-fat, fat-free. One tip, you could try using Greek yogurt as a base for frosting. So instead of making a cream cheese frosting, you could swap that for Greek yogurt. And that's gonna help with cutting down on that saturated fat and overall calories of what you're making. And it's also gonna add in some protein as well as calcium, which are very important for our health. Next one, thinking about adding our heart-healthy fats and how to do this, we can substitute some of the butter the recipe calls for a plant-based oil like canola oil or olive oil. So let's say the recipe you're making calls for 1 stick or a half a cup of butter. You could instead use a half a stick or a 1/4 cup of butter, and then use the remaining 1/4 cup of oil. And what research has found is that replacing some of these saturated fats from animal products that are typically solid at room temperature, replacing them with unsaturated plant-based sources of fats that are typically liquid at room temperature is going to help with reducing our risk of cardiovascular disease. On to the sugar. So as a general rule of thumb, for anything you're making, you can cut the sugar by approximately 25%. So if your recipe calls for a cup of the granulated sugar, you can instead use 3/4 cup. Again, reduce that by 25%. And that's gonna help reduce the overall added sugar to what we're making. Added sugar, having excess amounts of that in our diet is associated with increased risk of cardiovascular disease and can increase our risk of dental cavities as well. So by reducing the sugar, it's going to have a protective effect on our health. And the last tip we will leave you with today is to work on portion control and strategies for reducing portion sizes. So a standard portion size here for our desserts is 2 inches by 2 inches. So this can be like applied to brownies, cake, cookies. Another idea is if you like to make cupcakes or muffins, you could look for the mini cupcake muffin baking sheets at the store. And then this brownie recipe that we'll leave you with today, it requires only 3 ingredients and has some of those healthier spins that we talked about. So we're adding a nutrient-rich food like a banana here into our brownie recipe. We're adding some cocoa powder, which is gonna add some nice chocolate flavor without adding any extra sugar. And then lastly, we're gonna be using nut butter, peanut butter, to add some of that heart-healthy fat and creaminess to our brownies today. So you mix all these ingredients together and then let them bake in the oven for about 20 minutes at 350 degrees. We'll include the recipe link in the comments here. As always, let us know if you have any questions. You can comment below on this post, or you can email us at healthpromotion@glick.net. Thanks, everyone. Have a great holiday season.